Good to see you all today. I kind of have a little difficulty with this chapter. I really would hate to think that people showed up on a Sunday morning and were not edified and blessed with being here. And we're already blessed, but just the association we have with one another, the fellowship and the love that we share. But this it seemed like primarily this chapter is about people, the Jews at that time, having trouble giving Jesus the honor that he should deserved, and they were having troubles giving him uh, the credit for who he was, and somehow getting away from the old law, and it's hard to believe that if people had any kind of understanding at all, that they would not be just overjoyed and delighted with the idea that they didn't have to do the things, the just the manual physical things, killing the animals and providing the animals and this sort of thing. A lot of energy was exerted in fulfilling the the old laws that were necessary. And then after they had done these things, they were still not perfect or not completely forgiven. So it was the thing that we would have thought they would have been just really happy to find that they can cleanse and they can be perfect, and they wouldn't have to deal with these sacrifices and all the tedious things of this old law. Another thing is that the it seemed like most of the things are dealing with these people back here and don't have a great lot to do with us today. And I really like for things to be spoken and understood that make us better every day than we were the day before yesterday or yesterday. And it's kind of hard to find a lot of that in this chapter. No doubt there are some things. But anyway, another thing that I want all of you to keep in mind is some of the things that most of us, when we prepare a talk up here, we look through it and try to take and understand all we can out of it. But a lot of things are not that hard to understand. They're fairly simple. So everybody should be able to understand them. And I've I've thought in my mind and being kind of ashamed sometimes that I didn't take the time to be. Everyone here should have taken the time to be prepared to make a talk here. Is that unreasonable? Everybody should have already had preparation about this chapter. You could make a talk about it. This this chapter is kind of odd in some ways, about especially pertaining to Melchizedek, because I don't know a lot more about him now than I did when I first started trying to figure him out. But what I'm getting around to saying is that some of the things that I'm going to say today, I'm not 100% sure of, because we read the Bible and we take it, and I believe everything in here is 100% true. But there are some things that we don't know a lot about, like Melchizedek. And so uh, we have to go by other historians. We have to just hope that they're right. And so if there are some things that may not be 100% accurate, I'm doing the best I can with what I have to work with. But anyway, we'll start in chapter 7, first uh, two verses here. For Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Well, it says pretty much that he's the king here, and he's put in place by God. It was not like the priest that came from Levi, and that doesn't seem to be any kind of a specific law in these days that had to do with providing 10% of whatever to anyone, but it was a custom even outside the Jewish uh, people that someone, a great warrior, if there was a great king that he had honor for, that he would just give them a part of the spoils of the war, and whoever the objects of their worship, even though it might not have been a true God. But in Genesis 14 and 18, we can see here where that Melchizedek met Abraham, and I can't know what it was that made Abraham acknowledge who this great king was, but somehow he did. I can't help but think that surely there must have been some things provided, some things maybe written in the Jewish history that would allow them, because obviously here, what 400 years later, when this is being written, for some reason, these people, he uses Melchizedek for a reason, because he knew that these Jews gave him great honor. And I don't know why or how they did that, other than because they had great honor for Abraham. And that is something to think about. You know, there are a lot of people that bring up children, and there's not much about them to honor, for their children to honor. And on the other hand, so many of us have been blessed so abundantly and greatly with both parents, father and mother. They were really good people. I'm saying, I'm using good. I know that there's no one good but Jesus, but as far as our way of looking at things, they were good. And we will have to acknowledge that they were, because they tried to point us in the right direction. They tried to give us what we needed to be successful in this life and pleasing with God. And not only, but to be friends, and to be someone that our friends would like to be like. In other words, we're a person that's easy to be around, and to communicate with. I hate to say it, but I know of situations, several situations, and there are people that I wish I could communicate with, but I'm almost skeptical to even start, because I know that some other Christians have approached them in ways, and I don't even know exactly how it went, but they they approached these people in ways that they wouldn't be accepted. They would not be accepted, and that's something that we need to understand. And I'm sorry to say that when I was younger, I probably did some of the same things. You know, you got some of eat Francis cherry pie. You can find a stranger on the street and tackle him and hold him down and force feed him that cherry pie, and he probably won't appreciate it, even though it's a good thing. And I'm afraid that sometimes that we do that. You know, we just kind of tackle somebody, and we don't listen to them. We don't listen to why that they object to uh, this way of life. And some of them, I don't know if it's really fair to say that, but some of them almost have a right to do that, because the dealings they've had with Christians wasn't Christianity. And so we kind of start off on a on a slope, you know. Uh, but anyway, they no doubt had great respect for Abraham, and they had respect for Melchizedek, although they never met him. But they trusted in their father, their forefather, and because of their confidence in him, then they had the confidence in Melchizedek as well. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. This is kind of a, you know, one time it compares Melchizedek to the Son of God, and then on another occasion later it compares the Son of God to Melchizedek. So I don't see I don't see how there could be any equal as far as equal between but anybody equal with Jesus. But no doubt this man was put in place by God, and so in a sense they would be able to compare as far as men's eyes, men looking at this situation. Jesus, Jesus, no doubt was the person. He prophesied all through, and we've seen some of it in Isaiah recently. But all through the Bible, in different occasions, Jesus was prophesied in Psalms, which predicted the Messiah. Sorry about that. The one of the objections that the Jews seem to have in these times is that Christ didn't come from Levi. I wonder if it would have made a difference, because the way that he operated, the things that he did, and he, one of the things that got him in trouble, he didn't honor the traditions of the elders, and that was one of the things that they were really, really offensive to the Jews. But if he had come from Levi, maybe that would have helped a little bit. But Melchizedek didn't either. Neither one came from Levi. So under this new law, it was not necessary for the priest to come from this particular stock. Melchizedek was a priest of the Most High God, yet not of Abraham or Aaron, but a Canaanite. That would really be something to think about. But it didn't seem to bother these Jews. That part didn't seem to bother him. And we know that the Jews were exceedingly scrupulous as far as choosing their high priest. And of course, it was by divine plan, and in partly the traditions of the elders that considered this. They considered that office the highest in the land. In Leviticus 21:10, there were qualifications that the high priest would have to meet, and one was he had to be chosen from the brethren, from the family of Aaron. He must marry a virgin. He must not marry a widow, not a divorced person, not a harlot, not one of another nation, not like a proselyte. And he must prove, this is a big thing, he must prove his descent from the family of Aaron. And it references this in Ezra 62 and Nehemiah 7:63. And of course, you know how the Jews were so good at this, that the law that God had set up were not quite complete enough for them. So, and this is one of the things that I just mentioned about Jesus. He didn't go along with all their added little footnotes to the laws. But they had other ordinances. No proselyte could be a priest, and no slave. But the Jews sometimes sold themselves, to be a slave for a temporary time. And no son of a Nethinim, a temple servant. I don't know whether they would have been Levites or who they would have been, but they were temple servants. And then no father who worked at a base trade. So in other words, he had to be some kind of a respectable trade, just like it is today, like politics work today. So every one of these was we'd call them a second-class citizen, I suppose. So they took great care. And even after these qualifications were met, it seems like that the ones that had the potential of being a priest, they had their genealogies preserved in the archives of the temple. So after they were put into this position or about to assume this place, they would go back with great carefulness and look at the genealogies, and if there's any kind of a question, well, they would throw that out. They would say that the Gentiles had no father. Well, they did have fathers, but I think this may have been part of the thing about uh, Melchizedek. But a Gentile had no genealogy, so they just say, okay, he has no father. There's no record of him, but obviously did have some father somewhere. And so by lacking these requirements, with Jesus and Melchizedek, neither one would qualify for a priest, right? Melchizedek was a Canaanite. I mean, they sure wouldn't fit. And yet he was a priest of the Most High God and reigned in Salem for 113 years. So, but God put him in a place. He was good enough for God's high priest, but he would never have fit in the Levitical priesthood. And he died a single man with no wife and no children. So, by their rule, their own rules, he would be without descent or genealogy because he was not of the seed of Abraham, but of Canaanitish origin. So, he's without father or mother because he had no genealogy. So, I hope that's the accurate description of that, because if God put him in place, God didn't go by our rules, the way we think it should be. So he said to be without father or mother because his genealogy was unknown and his descent was not counted. That's over here. It mentions that in verse 6. In other words, counted, I suppose that's records of the genealogy. Now, consider how great this man was. They're giving him great honor. Consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the 10th of the spoils. So Abraham, without doubt, gave him great honor. And so maybe this is the first time they ever met, but it says that he went to meet Abraham, and then Abraham gave him the tithes. So obviously Abraham is giving him high honor. So he was a king superior to anyone else in that region. And so Abraham honored him with giving the tithes. So the Jews could not deny one. They had to show respect and honor to one that Abraham, who was at the top of their place of honor, would give tithes to. And verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they came out of the loins of Abraham. The sons of Levi, it was part of the law that they would take tithes, and they weren't supposed to. They did own land, but it says that they weren't given land like the rest of the tribes, but they would live off the laws of the land, the tithes, and this was their livelihood, their maintenance. But Melchizedek, he was a king, and Abraham gave him tithes not because he needed any maintenance or sustenance, but just because of who he was. So he received office. He received the tithe because of his office, not because of his place that in a place of need. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham and blessed him that had the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth of them whom it is witnessed that he liveth. So I don't know for sure if that would be, I don't know how that means, but if there's no evidence that when he was born or when he died, then he may still be alive. So in that sense, it would be like Jesus, that he was not one that would ever die. And then the first part, he's talking about that well, anyway, the first the first priests died. I mean, they all died. I mean, one died, another one replaced them, then that one died, another one replaced them, but none of them did that. So he's represented as a type of Christ because he's not no record of him ever dying. So maybe he's still alive. If therefore perfection or by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron? This law, it says later about Christ's law that God swore, but there was no oath here. So this would be a changing thing here. The priesthood did not produce perfection. If it had produced perfection, there would be no need for any change. But it was a guide, no doubt. It was a guide to righteousness and goodness, but not perfection. In other words, it was a good thing in that, like similar to our law, in that you love, treat your neighbor as you want to be treated. Do unto others how they do unto you. That was part of this. It was in this law that you would treat people right, wouldn't steal and abuse those about you and misuse people about you. So it was good in that sense, but it was not perfect. You could not be made perfect. For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. So the priests, all this completely changed. And they needed to accept this for their benefit, for mankind's benefit. The priesthood and the law both changed. For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning the priesthood, and it is yet far more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek there ariseth another priest, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. So the carnal commandment was, this the way that nature is. People died, men die, but this would not be that way. And the Lord came from Judah, appointed by God. He didn't come down the line of priests, and he would never die like a mortal man. For he testifieth, thou art a priest after the order of Melchizedek. So this is something, and like I said a while ago, I don't know if they had access to some other information that we don't have in the Bible, but he keeps bringing this up, and they must have had some. Maybe they had some more and a better understanding about Melchizedek than what we do, because he uses this so often that it most likely must have some weight to it. For there is verily a disannulling of the commandments going before for the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. So this was a good law, but it was not a complete, is not a perfect law. And so it would be disassembled and put and set aside. For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did, by the which we draw nigh unto God. There were so many, like Dennis often says, these are shadowed. The many things, the sacrifices in the old law, people might not see it. They didn't see it probably at that time because they didn't know for sure what they were looking at. But so many of these activities in this old law, they pointed forward to something which would come and be far better. And inasmuch as not without an oath, he was made priest. For those priests were made without an oath. There was no oath involved in these. They just followed down their line of their family. They followed. They just came in line. When their turn came, they took their place. There was no oath, no promise that this would be a permanent thing that would last forever. But the one that would come would be. But with this oath, by him that said unto him, the Lord swear and will not repent, thou art a priest after the order of Melchizedek. So this one that is here now, that's come now, this is that God swore to it. The Lord swear and will not repent. This one would never change because it was perfect. By so much was Jesus made a surety of a better testament. And they truly were many priests, because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death. But this man, because he continueth ever, hath an unchangeable priesthood. There's no need to change something that's perfect. If it's perfect, it can't be fixed. It can't be made better. Wherefore he is able also to save them to the uttermost that come unto God by him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them. This is something that the priests, I guess in a sense, they did do that when they went into the most holy. They did, but they could not make people perfect. They could not make them complete. For such an high priest became us, or he fit us. He's peaceable with us. He communicated with us. Such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens. Everything about this we are not. We're not holy. We're not harmless. We're not undefiled. We're not separated from sinners. We are sinners and made higher than heaven. Everything about this, God changed for us. He took our place. Who needeth not daily, as those high priests, to offer up sacrifice, first for his own sins. He had no sin. And then for the people's. For this he did once when he offered up himself. So people didn't have to go out and gather some of their stock, their best stock, and bring it in and lay it down. No more. Jesus did that excellent, awful sacrifice. He did that once, and it was enough. God accepted it. For the law maketh men high priests which have infirmity, but the word of the oath, which was since the law, maketh the Son, who is consecrated forever, evermore. So he was the fulfillment of God's plan. And surely these people would be able to recognize this. I mean, there's no doubt that this would be a hard thing if we think about some of the things that we have been taught since we were young by our forefathers. We had great faith and confidence in our forefathers, and we know they were good people as far as men can be good. Can you imagine your forefather, your father, that you know is a good person that lived a good life? Everybody would say so. But he's going to tell you, we got to make some changes. It would be hard. It would be hard. And it might have been easier for some of the people in Corinth and some of these fairly evil cities to see that this is a great step upward. This is a wonderful, perfect, excellent step upward. And I'm sure that it was a hard thing, but people with good sense, and God gives us a mind to be able to reason things out. We can understand what's right and wrong. I've always thought that even people who didn't grow up and blessed like a lot of us were in a good household, that even these people, they have some understanding when they're very young about what's right and what's wrong, even though it might not be what we would say is good. But people understand that you can't steal something from somebody else. Anybody knows that. You can't just take something that's not yours. But anyway, I hope some of the things have been beneficial. I wish there were more things that could have been presented. Maybe there are. Others may have some good things to say, but it seemed like mostly this chapter was about people in times past.